Hello, everyone. So I did promise that I was going to do a review of A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. So I'm going to do that. Um, I have a lot of feelings about this book, and it's taken me a bit of time to think about this book and what I wanted to say about it, because I honestly can't even decide if I like it all the way, but we'll get there. So, this is a magic school setting, which one of my favorite tropes. Love a good magic school setting. And essentially, it's a world where you have these magical children, and they become preyed upon by magical creatures, I guess. And they're particularly delicious in their teen years. And so they are sent to this school where they can't leave, and they learn their magic. And the school, I guess, is safer than being out in the world, but it's very dangerous and it's very dark. And then at the end of their tenure at the school, they graduate, and in order to graduate, they have to go from the school to the doors that open so that they can exit. And between the school and the doors, there are terribly many magical creatures that are there to devour them. So they spend all of their time almost being devoured, and then their final test is to walk across the expanse and, I guess, fight their way through. So there's an element of people trying to form teams in this world so that they can have a team to battle the creatures with as they graduate. And also in this world, we have a bit of like a have and a have not dichotomy. So some people live in what they call enclaves or enclaves, however you like to say it, and these people are safer because they band together and they protect each other. And people in the school have the people that they grew up with in their enclaves, and they're all together and they share magic, and they have a much higher likelihood of surviving because they are in this team. And this is relevant. So anyway, so we follow a protagonist. Her name is Galadriel. Am I salty that the author named her kind of silly protagonist Galadriel? Yeah, I'm salty. I'm really salty about that. It was a poor choice of name. Okay. But anyway, that's what she did. So we have Galadriel, and Galadriel is a have-not. So she just grew up with her mother, and she's now in the school, and she is desperate to join an enclave and show them how awesome she is so that she will survive and live a better, I guess, life. Galadriel is not a nice person. In fact, I struggle to like her at all. There are a couple of moments where I thought, okay, this makes her a little better, but she's just a colossal asshat to everybody for no particular reason. Sometimes she has a bit of a reason, but for the most part, no, she's just an asshat. So that would be problem number one. But I would say that that's not a technical problem with the book. My issue with this book is that I think it suffers from some technical storytelling problems. I'm going to get into that in a second. But anyway, so we've set the scene. So magical school, love that. And I quite like the school actually. So let's talk about things that are actually good about this book. Before I start talking about the things that I like less, things that are good. The school setting is really good. And it was a really unique idea, and it was executed quite well. It's gritty and it's dark. It's even darker than Lev Gozman's The Magician's version of school. So yeah, I like that. I mean, I was interested in how the school worked and the magic in it and all of that. Liked it a lot. The world in general, actually, quite liked it. Thought it was unique, thought it was well done, had real stakes. The setup is really good. I also quite liked some of the supporting characters, particularly Orion Lake. He's a little quirky. I'd be interested to see where his character goes and what he does. I'm here and some of the other supporting characters as well. They have really some nuance to them, and there's some growth there, and kind of makes sense. Now, the things that I just don't like, they're not technically problems, but I don't like. I've already said I don't like Galadriel. She's so unpleasant. And the author tries to explain her unpleasantness, and I don't buy it. I don't know. It doesn't sit all the way well for me, and she sort of tries to explain it as this is just the way she is. Like, she was born this way. She was born this abrasive. And yeah, I don't. And she tries to explain it in the sense that other people just react to her negatively. And because people just react to her negatively, she just is rude. I can't really explain it better than that because the author doesn't explain it any better than that, and it's really silly. So I don't care for that. The actions, some of the decisions she makes just make no sense. Oh my God, like, no sense at all. And even the character can't explain to you why she does certain things. She's like, why did I just do that? That was silly. What? No, you have to have motivations. So I'm kind of veering off into the technical problems, so I'm just going to go ahead. So this is going to be spoilery, so if you haven't read this book and you are interested in reading it, stop watching now, I guess. Or if you don't care and you want to listen to me rant about the technical problems, then continue to watch. Okay, technical problem number 1. So we have Galadriel, and Galadriel really wants to join an enclave. And she has these ideas of how she's going to do it by showing them how powerful she is, and then they're going to be like, you must join because you're so freaking amazing. Okay, it's a decent plan. I gotcha. So then she forms this somewhat unlikely friendship with Orion Lake, which I'll get to that little situation, but she's friends with Orion Lake. Orion Lake is the superstar in this enclave. Basically, being tight with Orion is going to almost guarantee her an entry into this enclave as long as she's not a colossal bitch to everyone. So what does she do? She's a colossal bitch to everybody. All of the time. For literally no reason. Not. She has a goal. Her goal is to join an enclave. She is presented the opportunity to do that on a silver platter. And she just tosses it away. And then even she herself thinks, why did I do that? Why did I just toss away my golden opportunity to do this thing that I've always wanted to do? No idea. So there's that. And then in another situation, she has this opportunity. She does this amazing magical feat, and she could tell people about it and maybe even join a different enclave because the feat is so freaking amazing. And then she just doesn't tell people. Just doesn't. And then one of her friends calls her on it, says, hey, you did this amazing thing. Why don't you tell everybody and get in on that? And she just says, I now realize I don't want to join an enclave. Really? Why? Why would you not want to? It's been a stated goal of this particular character for the entire goddamn book that she wants to be an enclave, and she's mad at her mother and all of these things. And then she just doesn't want to anymore. No reason. This is not explained. She just doesn't want to anymore. Wasn't that nice? Just complete 180. And she realizes that in her heart of hearts, she's never really wanted to. But again, it makes no logical sense. Everything in this world is set up that you are better off in an enclave. Absolutely everything. So why would she not want to be in one? I don't know. It really makes no sense. So, stupid decisions, irrational, nonsensical, great. Then we have the Orion Lake relationship situation. So, Galadriel, as I've established, is an asshat to everybody all of the time. But she's a particular asshat to Orion Lake. And she kind of has a little bit of a reason, but she never really articulates it to him. So until towards the end of the book, and he's kind of like, okay, well, maybe you have a bit of a point. But even her reason, it doesn't really make that much sense. Can we let go of the trope that if somebody is mean to you, you must automatically like them? Can we not write books with character arcs and relationship arcs like that anymore, please? I'm here to vote for a no. When people treat you like crap, you should not continue to interact with them. End of story. Galadriel treats Orion Lake like crap, and he just continues to follow her around and wear her down. No. It's not a thing. It's not a thing in real life, and it should not be a thing in fantasy or any literature, okay? People treat you like crap. Cut those people out of your life. Done. So there's that. The other thing that really bothered me in this book is, so it's written in first person, which I haven't read everything that Naomi Novik has ever written, but I think this might be the only book she has written in first person, so it might just be a bit of a challenge in the writing style. But there's a lot of telling. So, and what I mean by that is it can be very tricky for an author who's writing in first person to set certain scenes or explain certain things in a compelling way when all you have is that one character and their point of view. An example, because it was done very poorly in this book, so I'll use an example. It's quite difficult for authors to describe their character, like physically, their physical appearance, to the reader in an organic way and in a way that shows you and doesn't just tell you, because it's not very compelling writing to tell a reader what they should be feeling or thinking or seeing. I'm not explaining this well, but basically, you don't, as a writer, want to tell me, the reader, oh, you should be sad right now, or you should think that this person is beautiful, or you should think this, or react in this way. The writer should be setting up a scene whereby I come to the conclusion as a reader that that person is beautiful, or that I am, or that was sad, or that was happy, or whatever the writer is trying to convey. It's very striking when, for me particularly, because I despise it, when writers tell me what I need to interpret or how I need to feel about something. So I get number one on my list. But she does that quite a bit in this book. Not terribly, but it does occur where she struggles with the first person narrative and the first person perspective, as from a writing perspective. She just doesn't do it particularly well. And some of the key things is, obviously, as a first person, your narrator is flawed. They are biased in lots of different ways because they have their own head. We cannot see into other people's head. We have an unreliable narrator to some extent. I mean, to some extent, our narrator is always unreliable, but particularly so from a first person. And as a writer, you need to embrace that. And if there are certain things that your character is misinterpreting, which I think is one of the more powerful things that you can do with first person perspective, is your character can completely misinterpret something because, again, they're biased, they're unreliable, they don't interpret the world necessarily correctly, or it's all coming from their perspective. So it can be very powerful when you have a character who's interpreting and reacting to the world in a certain way, and then to have that character's interpretation challenged and find out that maybe they've not been reliable, maybe they've interpreted the world incorrectly, and they've been acting based on an understanding that's not true, or it's not quite accurate. In this book, Naomi Novik is trying to make our protagonist seem very correct. Now, of course, the character is meant to be a practical person. She's meant to be sort of see the world clearly. That's kind of where they're coming from. But I think she tries too hard to make it seem as if Galadriel sees everything clearly. As if everything that Galadriel sees and interprets is kind of the truth. And I don't know if that was on purpose, and I don't know if she's going to subvert that somewhere along the way, maybe in the next book. But throughout this book, it really seemed like the writer was trying to say, yeah, the narrator, whatever she is seeing and however she's interpreting it, that's the real world. That's really, and everybody who sees anything differently, that's not the real world. That's not it. Which really, like, first person just does not lend itself well to that style of storytelling. The other thing is, again, the telling thing. Telling, not showing. So, as I mentioned, this is a very gritty world. This is a very dark world. There's people dying all the time. And our school is, everybody is on edge. It's a very stressful situation. It's a survival of the fittest situation. Okay? But the author feels the need to, halfway through this book, dedicate a page, 2 pages, where our first person narrator explains to you, the reader, how beautiful she is. Yeah. Now, first, I don't care. I mean, there are situations in books where a character's physical appeal can be very important for the story or for the situation. Granted. But this whole situation, all of these people are quite literally like running for their lives all day, every day. So her physical appeal is somewhat unimportant. And not only is it unimportant in the setting, it doesn't really come up in the book either, because literally no other character, I think, I may be exasperated here, but I don't think anybody else talks about it or it's mentioned ever. Like, okay, she's beautiful. Up until that point, it was about halfway through the book, I think, it never came up. It was never an issue. And it was not an issue afterward. Why? Why did the author spend 2 pages having this character describe in her own head? Who thinks like that? I'm sorry. Do people go around in their own heads and think, wow, I'm a looker? You know? And then piece by piece, evaluate every single part of themselves to describe to you in detail, in their own head, what a looker they are. I mean, maybe people do. I don't know. It didn't read particularly authentic in this book. I mean, I can see somebody maybe doing that in a different situation. I mean, imagine a character who's a model, who's going to do some modeling thing, and they're looking at themselves and thinking what their appearance is like. I can see, okay, in that situation, you might sell it to me there. But really, this character is running from her life, and she has a very serious injury, I think, at this point. And her thought is, damn, I'm hot. No. Just, no. So, anyway, what to say? What to say? Did I like this book? I actually didn't hate it. I know I'm being very critical of it right now, but it's not bad. It's got a compelling setting. It's got some fun action scenes. It's quite short. I think it's about 300 pages or so. So, you know, it's a quick jaunt. Would I recommend it? No, I wouldn't. Am I going to read the sequel? Well, Naomi Novik has pushed the sequel back, so I'm wondering if she isn't trying to do a rewrite save situation of this trilogy. Because I don't think I'm the only person who's been quite critical. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought if you've read this book. Let me know what you think about some of the criticisms I have of it, because I know some of them are obviously just me, myself, and I, and other people might not care that much about those things. But anyway, have a good day, and hopefully the next review can be a little friendlier. Bye, guys.